Hey kiddos and kidettes! Welcome to another edition of This New Cabin. As you can see, I'm standing inside the cabin. I have been cutting logs to make lumber with a chainsaw. I did one yesterday. I did two today. Yesterday I did a 5-foot log. Today I did another 5-foot and a 7-foot. 1-inch lumber, kiddos. Yeah, it's got a little to it, but that's okay. Because when I screw it down, it's going to get flat. Don't worry about that. Now, I come up with a couple of these. Like this one's got a rot spot in it. These ones got a rot spot in it. But I got 6 good boards out of that log. I got 7 and another 5. It's like a 12 good boards out of that one. Now the way that these are going to go, let me explain it to you, and you're going to see later on. I'm going to screw an end down up here, right? Face the board out that way, right? When I get it right, set it down, we'll underneath, before we do that, underneath here I'm going to put a bunch of chinking, right? Put a bunch of chinking. So when the boards go down, this is nice and sealed up and I ain't got to worry about it later. I'm just going to put a bunch of chinking in here, stuff it in the edges if I need to, right? So, I've also got to come up with some logs that are about that high for the ends. They're going to go between here and here. Riding right on top of this log. Something that's going to be up where the board will set on top of it. I got to get this screw out of here. But anyways, so I put the log up here, put some chinking in here. Now I'm going to, when I'm putting the boards down, I'm going to put a layer of chinking in here real thick, because there's going to be a gap. It goes from here down to nothing. So I want a bunch of chinking in there. And even if it's a little much, as long as it'll squish down and it won't come out, that's fine with me. I don't care. So, but we're going to put some chinking down underneath. Then I'm going to, as I go on the boards, I'm going to put a crap ton of chinking, screw the next board down on it. Now, this over here, I won't have to do that with, but I will have to do some chinking here. I'll have to do some chinking on the bottom board, like right in here. And on this bottom log right here, I will have to do some chinking there. But reason why I don't need it there is because, okay, so I'm going to screw this onto the truss. Wherever that falls out, somewhere right around in here, that's going to screw down up there, right? So this is going to go up there. It's going to have about a 2-foot overhang, right? Got it? Same thing with the other side. I'll put basically the same size board over here. Same thing. Bunch of chinking underneath. Fill up all these gaps. Kind of like this big old gap here. I've got to put some chinking in here. I can chink this from the outside. I'm not worried about that. But right up in here and right up in here, I want to get that done. Right? So I'm going to stuff that full of chinking all the way up. Make sure that all the ends, at least the ends about that far in, I've got chinking on it. Then as I put up the boards on the ends over here, I'm going to put a bunch of chinking. So it closes that gap for in here. In here, other than the chinking here, right, so you're going to have a board here and a board there. Then I have to put the second board on. Oh, whack. right? Put those on there before I can set the first 5-footer in here, right? And so what I got to do is, once I get these boards in here, then I can kind of get a guesstimate on how high this next board's going to be. And I've got to cut a log that extends up where this board is going to live. That way I can put some chinking down and it closes this all off. Then I'll put the first, after these 2 boards and 2 boards are on here, then I'll suck this first board right up again that where that end of the board lives, right? The end of the first boards. So it'll suck up. You'll see what I'm talking about when I get there. Then the next board goes up, next board goes up, then the next middle board goes up, right? And all the while I'm chinking, which means here in a couple days, after I get a couple more 7-footers cut, I think I've got enough 5-footers at least to do one side. And damn, I saw that stupid spider web this morning and I walked right through it. But anyways, yeah, so we'll have a board, right, that extends off. A board that extends off. Those are my little awnings. And it's going to be 2 foot. This, the porch is 4.5 feet. So it'll be almost half of this porch. Right? So if it rains, it doesn't go in the door. Right? And then I'll have a board, and then a board stuck on top, and they'll all overlap as we go up. One will be on top of the next one, which will be on top of the next one on the edges, and I'll have it over about that far. Not very far, just enough for when the rain drips, it goes down and doesn't go inside. Water tends to go where there's an opening. But anyways, when I get these all down here, I don't know if I'm going to have to cut them. I've been thinking about this. If I lay everything with the live edge dipped down on both sides, on all the boards, that little dip will kind of almost be a cut edge. So I'll lay the board in there, and to sock it up to where it's weather tight, I'll put some screws right along there and suck the boards up together, right? And to boot on that, after I get the roof on, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put moss up there, because that'll help drain off the water. It'll help cover up any little gaps that's in there. No biggie, so all the bugs stay out, right? But that's what we're looking at. So I've been up cutting boards today, and I got up here kind of early, and it took me the better half a day to do 2 logs. I am like sweating my butt off. But anyways, yeah. So that's the plan, Stan. So I may start with what I got right now, and starting tomorrow we'll put that up, and we'll kind of give me a guesstimation of how many logs I got left to cut. Now on the 7-footers, I've got at least 3. 5-footers, I don't know. I've got a lot of 5-footers up there, so it's like no biggie. I got one 7-footer that's got a bunch of rot in the center, and I'll only get like 2 or 3 boards off of it. I don't know if it's worth it, so I may have to fall another tree, but we're gonna not make it as big around, because the bigger around it gets, the more it's gonna have some rot in the butt end, which is the bottom end. So we're gonna see what happens with that. But, yeah. So we're getting boards cut. I put them inside so rain don't get to them. They'll kind of dry out a little bit. Now, they'll get a little bit of warp to them. But that doesn't bother me one iota. Because once they get up here and they get wet, and they're screwed down, they'll kind of level out. It's no biggie. I'm not worried about it. And if I have the hump up or down, doesn't make a difference because I'm going to screw the things together. Right? And on the bottom log here, I'll screw it down to the bottom log, get them all straight. Right? At least the bottom ones. I'm going to get the bottom ones straight. Once they straighten out, then as I screw them in the middle, they'll straighten out all the way up and they won't move because it'll be screwed together, not nailed, screwed. They're going to get screwed. Just like about half the citizens in the United States were screwed. We're not nailed, we're just screwed. So anyways, yeah, I took a look at the corn pile just a little bit ago. It's kind of like almost my first time down here today because all I did was come down and get gas, oil, the little chainsaw tool, and a tape measure because I had to cut one of those logs down to 7 foot plus. It's about 7'3". So when I go to put them up, I've got to measure them out and cut them at 7 foot because that's what I want. So, and then those other logs that I've got, we're going to split those where it's all good and stuff. And under the awning, right, the boards come out, there's going to be an awning there. I'm going to take a board about yay wide and stick it up underneath. The reason being is the ends are going to want to curl up because they're 2 feet out. So if you screw a board down to them, they'll tend to lay flatter, okay? So, thinking with the noodle here. That's about the only thing I got going for me is a noodle. And while I've been up there cutting today, I have a ton of sawdust, and I brought down 3 5-gallon buckets of sawdust. Threw it down in here, trying to get this stuff to dry out. I've probably got another 6 7 buckets up there. So instead of using the buckets, I'm going to take the tarp up there, throw it all on a tarp, bring it down, spread it out and around. I took all the wood that I had, throw it out here, most of it, like these little chunks of wood, and I put them over there. And I'm going to put a bunch more in there so it kind of builds up, and I'll put a bunch of sawdust on there so it kind of makes a hump up, right? So the water will come out this way. I'm still going to cut that little trench through here, but instead of going down into there, it'll go off into the creek. That's what we want. Oh, little update. This morning I walked out the door to the house, getting ready to put my stuff on the four-wheeler. Well, I had to go out for something. I forget what. Oh, I had to get in my truck to get a funnel. I step out the door, and there's a snake sitting on the concrete with no head. And I look at the snake, and I was like, holy crap, that's a copperhead. Well, Mary's son, Paul, last night he was out, and he saw this snake. So he went in and got a flashlight, got the shovel, and got him out of there, cut off its head. Well, the snake is down at the house, and I'm gonna skin it and tan the hide. Since it's been an inordinate amount of time, I ain't gonna fool with the meat. Now, if it's like if it's recent, like within 4 or 5 hours, I'll gut it and take the meat and I'll eat it. But yeah, it was a juvenile copperhead. It's probably about 2 feet, a little bit more than 2 feet long. It is a juvenile. The one that I killed up here last year at the other cabin, that was 3.5, almost 4 feet. That was an adult. So I had to take the head and bury it in the dirt so nobody gets bit, because even though it's dead, it's still got those venom glands and two little sharp little needle fangs. I don't want nobody to get snake bit and have to go to the hospital, because if it does puncture the skin, it's a juvenile. Even though it's dead, if you step on it and get those fangs in you, 9 times out of 10 you're pressing on the glands and you're going to get envenomated. So I buried the head just so, out of sight, out of mind, nobody's going to dig it up. And if anybody does dig it up at a later time and date, then it's all just the skull. So, yeah. So we're just down here cutting logs. I got to cut a few more before I really start the roof. I can start it tomorrow and put 3 rows of logs, or 3 rows of boards on. I'm going to start with the upper side because I've got to have it go past the peak. So when it rains, it goes over and just drops it down on the boards and goes. So this side right here is facing west. The back of the cabin is basically facing north. So when I get this done, the snow will come in from the west and the north. So I want to have enough of an awning over here to where it's not going to pile snow on the outside, because my door is going to open to the outside. And even if it does, it's just a little bit of brush the snow off, and there we go. So anyways, that's what we got going on, kids. We are just cutting boards. They're approximately an inch, inch and a quarter, maybe an inch and a half thick. They're not very thick. And I don't care if they match, because there's going to be a board on top and it's spanning a distance. So, yeah. Pretty good board cuts for a chainsaw freehand. Yeah. So, and I don't care about the knots, because as long as it's got a pretty straight edge on it, so the other board sucks down on it. If you notice some of the ends curve in or kind of curve out, doesn't matter, there's going to be another board on top of it, right? As long as there's no holes in this thing and the knots can go downhill, these knots that I cut in half, such as this is a good example right here. This would go downhill. And then I would have this edge here for what I need. And this is actually laying the right way. This edge, I want to go down, that way I don't have to cut an edge. The board will lay right up on top, and it'll be close, and I can just sink some screws to suck it all up. No biggie. So that way it keeps me from cutting more stuff. If I have to, very first board, I don't care. I'll whack off a couple of them. Now, when we get down to this first board here, I want to kind of match it. So the only way that I can really match it on the edge is I will have to cut it so it'll suck up and match the edge of these two boards on the downhill side. And then when that happens, when I get all them in, these trusses, the extra log that's going down, I'll just whack it right off right at the edge of that. So it'll look good. Gooders. So, yeah. That's what we got going on, kids. We're getting her. We're getting her. It's just going to take me about 4 or 5 days to cut all these logs and get the wood that I need, the lumber, to put on the roof. Once I get going on the roof, that should take me a day or two. I'll probably do one side a day, because the first ones I have to get pretty level, and then I'm going to have matched boards on each side so it'll level out. I'm not worried about the center one because it can go down a little bit or go up a little bit. It doesn't make a difference. It's just this first edge. So that'll take a minute to get it right. But once I get it going, then I'll go all the way up, and then when I get the top boards up in there, I'll figure out how big a distance it is up on top, and I was going to go about 4 inches over, right? So whatever the board is, 4 inches, I'll just measure down and just go, right? About 4 or 5 inches, because the board going to suck up to it is about 1 inch. So I'll have 4 inches of overhang. And then I'll cut that straight. I won't have that live edge on there. I'll have a cut edge. That way when I stick them up there, it'll all look grandioso. Whatever. So, but yeah. That's what we're doing here, kids. And tomorrow will be a continuation if it doesn't rain. I don't think we're supposed to have rain for the next 2 weeks. I'll have this, once I get the roof on, all I got to do is chink this thing and throw a door on it. Basically, it's done. I'm going to put a couple of windows in it. I've got to get the fireplace in it. But the fireplace I can do absolutely last. Because say by midweek next week, I've got the roof on and I'm really good at getting it chinked. We're into September. Now, 1st of October starts hunting season. I'll have that fireplace in there, no problem. I'm getting kind of strapped on time, so I doubt that I'll get the 6-foot deck on the back. I can work on it, right? I go up and cut some trees and start cutting some lumber for it. But the 1st of October, I won't be working on the cabin unless I already have my quota of deer and bear, right? And because I've already got the wood cut and split. I've got this to cut and split. Say like I come up one day and I'm not going to do any hunting. I'll throw the chainsaw around and whack, 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 whack. And I'll work on this. I won't have to get it all done, but I'll get it packed up in there. Now I've got a bunch of this white tarp that I cut off, and there's about 2 big 4-foot wide pieces that are longer than that. So what I'm going to do is when I get a couple of rows in there, I'll put that tarp over instead of the metal. Keep the snow off of it, get it starting to dry over the winter. But I doubt that I'm going to use, I won't use 3 stacks of this winter. So, yeah. And by the time I get really good with it, the stack's going to fall over because I got to go this way with it. So what I'll do is, when the stack falls over, come spring, I'll knock everything over there. I'll put all the wet wood, I'll put all this dry wood that's been drying all winter. I'll put that, I want to have that in the front. But I've got to put it a different way. That way, instead of having it the way that I set it, which is this way, I need to go this way, right? That way I can work into my stack. I did this because I had it up on the hill and it kept falling over. And I said, to hell with it, we're just going to do it this way. And I've got an easy access way to come in here and get wood over the winter. I doubt I'm going to use all that wood. I might, but I doubt it. I may use about a cord, maybe 2, and I've got over 3 there. So, yeah, as soon as I start cutting all this stuff up, I can actually start packing that on the back end and get it all packed back there, and that'll start drying next to the cabin over the winter, and I can put the tarp over that, just have it all sit back there. I'll just have it up on a couple logs, so it don't get wet underneath. It'll all dry out. Yeah. And if it gets snowed on, the tarp's there. I don't care, whatever. So, and then come next year, I'll be redoing the wood stack. Yay! Because that there stuff dry. That is dry. It's been drying for getting on 4 months now. 5 months. That's dry wood. That is dry. Oak, cherry. There's some poplar, sycamore. There's all kinds of wood in there. But most of it's oak and cherry, so. Yeah. The oak came out of that big old tree over there. So anyways and anywho's, this be me. I'm getting out of here. Go down to the house. I'm tired. It's right around noonish. Getting hungry. So anyways, this be me. You be you. You be good. Try to be good to everybody else. If you don't, well, don't be a Karen, okay? Just don't be a Karen. If somebody tells you you're wrong, stop, think about it. You're wrong, so whatever. Until then, on the next meeting that we have, see ya!